everybody, welcome to our first episode of Richmond Public Library presents Small Bites Cooking for Kids. My name is Miss Heather and I'm the children's librarian at the East End Branch Library, and today I thought it would be fun to show you guys how to make banana bread. The reason I chose this recipe is because it's really easy. It has most of the ingredients you'll be able to find in your house. And also, unlike a lot of bread recipes, you don't have to wait for your batter to rise. So this recipe actually goes really quickly. You just mix everything together, throw it in the oven, and you're done. So it's a really nice one to do just, in an afternoon. Before we get started with our mixing and baking and stirring, I want to show you guys what ingredients you'll need and what supplies you'll need. That way you'll be ready to go once we start baking. So, most important ingredient for banana bread, bananas. You'll need 2 to 3 bananas that look a lot like this one. You'll notice that it's a little brown, and that is what you want for banana bread. When we mush it into our ingredients, it makes it a lot easier if our bananas are already mushy, and that is the case usually with brown bananas. So depending on how banana-y you want your banana bread to be, you can use either 2 or 3 of these. That part is up to you. So we have our bananas. We'll put that over there. You are also going to need 1 large egg. For your egg, when you add it into your recipe, this egg's gonna be beaten. So you're gonna wanna break your egg into a bowl and stir it, stir it, stir it. If you've ever made scrambled eggs before or helped your grown-ups make scrambled eggs, you want your egg to look like the scrambled eggs after you've stirred them up before you put it in your recipe. So keep that in mind. You'll need 1 egg beaten. So we have our eggs there. You'll also need 1/3 of a cup of butter. The butter, when you add it into your recipe, it's going to be melted. So in addition to having the butter, make sure that you have a microwave safe bowl that you can use to melt your butter down. I usually just do it, 5 or 10 seconds at a time till it's all melted down. So make sure you have something to melt this into. But 1/3 of a cup of butter. You're also going to need just a little pinch of salt, so just a tiny little bit of salt here. You will need 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Now, the sugar in this recipe is actually pretty flexible. Some people like a whole lot of sugar in their banana bread and they'll do a whole cup. Some people don't like so much and they'll do 1/2 cup. I'm doing right in the middle, I'm doing 3/4 of a cup. So if you want to do that along with me, great. If you like more or less, you can do that too. The recipe is pretty flexible with the sugar content. So we have our sugar. You're also going to need 1.5 cups of flour. So make sure you have that ready. So whoops, we'll set that aside. A few other things. Vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of this. If you want to add cinnamon to your bread, you can. I usually just do kind of a little sprinkle in the batter. If you don't want to add it at all, that's completely fine. It's sort of an extra ingredient that I just like, but if you don't like cinnamon, you can skip it. And some people add nutmeg, and some people even do walnuts. So if there's something that you already know you like in banana bread, you can go ahead and add it to our recipe if you want to. You don't have to stick, exactly to what I'm doing. And then you will also need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So we have that here. So those are all of the food ingredients that we're gonna need. There are also a few pieces of kitchen equipment that you'll need too. One of them are measuring spoons, so just kind of your usual set there. You will also need a bowl to mix everything in. So we have that. You will also need a measuring cup to measure out all of our ingredients. You will need either a big loaf pan. This is an 8x4 pan, so you can use this if you want to make, a full-size loaf of banana bread. Or if you want to make 2 little loaves like I did, you can use an 8x5 pan. So see, they're still a little warm, so I'm going to be careful here, but 2 3x5 loaves. So that's how big these pans are if you'd rather do, 2 little loaves. Hi everybody, welcome back. Now that I'm all organized, we can get ourselves cooking. Now there are a few things that I did off camera that you'll want to do too, but they take a minute, so I didn't want to make you guys, watch me mash bananas. But one of the things I did do was I went ahead and I mashed up my 2 bananas, or you might have 3 bananas. When I mashed them up, I made sure to make them as liquidy as possible. So it does take a couple minutes, and with a fork, you just mash them down until they're as liquidy as you can get them. Mine are still a little lumpy, which isn't a huge deal, but you want them to be mush. Another thing that I did was I took my egg and I beat my egg. You want it to be kind of as yellow, all yellow, if you can make it that way. Kind of like if you've made scrambled eggs before, kind of like how they'd be if you were doing that. So I went ahead and broke my egg in a bowl and took a fork and just beat it until it looks like this. I also took my butter and I went ahead and melted it in the microwave. I just did it maybe 5 seconds at a time until it was really melty, because you don't want to burn it, but you also want it to be a liquid like it is here. And I also went ahead and measured out the rest of my ingredients, because you don't have to do this, but it really does make it a lot easier if you have everything ready to go and you can just go ahead and dump. So I have my flour, and each of these little cups has the little ingredients. So I have salt in this one. This has the vanilla extract, and this has our little bit of baking soda. So if you want to go ahead and get everything ready all at once, you can, if you want to pause me for a minute, but you don't have to. It just does make it a little bit easier. Oh, and of course I have my my sugar here too. Okay, so now hopefully you've gotten everything mixed together. Mine's all mixed, as you can see. And with yours, I found, while I was stirring, that I had over measured my flour a little bit. So my dough, my bread should still come out fine, but it's a little stiff. So if yours is a little more runny than mine looks, don't worry, you didn't do anything wrong. Yours is probably more correct than mine is, but I still think it's gonna turn out okay. So now that we have everything mixed together, we're gonna go ahead and grease our pan. So I'm doing the mini loaves, the 2 little ones, but remember you can also do a bigger loaf if you would like to with the 4x8 pan. So we're gonna go ahead and take our grease, or you can use butter too if you want to. I have, this is vegetable oil. So that's what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna take a napkin or paper towel, and I just go like this. There we go. And I'm just gonna wipe the inside here with the oil. So now I've got it on that one. I'm gonna do a little more. I'm gonna put some on this one too. And if you haven't already, might be a good time to preheat your oven. You want your oven to be at 350 degrees. I may have forgotten to tell you that in the beginning of our video, but usually my oven at home usually takes about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to preheat. So if you haven't done it yet, that's okay. You can just preheat it now and wait a few minutes. But 350 degrees is what you want, whether you're making the little loaves or the big one. So now we have our greased loaf pans. I'm gonna put the lid on my oil, because if that spills, that's not fun to clean up at all. And then I'm gonna put my batter into the pan. So if you're doing the little ones, you wanna do half of your batter in one pan and the other half in the other. So we're gonna try and get it in here. And remember what I said, your dough will be, or your batter will be a little easier to deal with when it comes to putting it in the pan, because yours might be a little runnier. So you could probably just pour yours right in. And mine is being a little more difficult, but it's okay. It takes a little more time to get it spread out. We got one, and then I'll scoot this so you can see. And the reason I'm doing little loaves is because A, it's easier to give a little loaf to someone as a little present, and also I have kind of a small oven here at the library. I don't have a normal size oven like you guys have at home, so if I used a big pan, my bread would get too tall for my tiny little oven. Okay, so we've got our batter here. I'll show you what you can kind of see anyway what it looks like, but you can see I put about half the batter in each pan. So now is the point where if your oven is preheated, you can go ahead and put your loaves in. If it's not, just wait a little bit till it is and you can stick them in. Now this is where the only difference is between doing the little loaves or the big ones. If you're doing the big ones, you want to do your baking for between 50 minutes and an hour, and just keep an eye on it. And when it's ready, the top will be kind of golden brown, and when you stick a toothpick in, it'll come out completely clean. And you'll probably want your parents to help you with when you're checking and doing the toothpick part. But once it's golden brown and you put your toothpick in and it comes out clean, that's when you're good to go. So the big loaf is about an hour, 50 minutes to an hour. The little loaves, they'll be 35 to 45 minutes. So that's really the only difference when it comes to making a big loaf or a little loaf, is how long you keep it in the oven. Hi everybody, welcome back. I wanted to come back and see how your loaves turned out, and I'll show you mine. This is one of my mini loaves. The other one I started eating, so it's not pretty enough to show on the camera anymore. But hopefully yours turned out good and look something like mine, since mine turned out pretty well. I also wanted to stop in and say I had a lot of fun baking with you guys today, and I hope you come back for the next video. We're going to be doing these about once a month, and some of them are going to be baking like today, but we're also going to be doing all kinds of other food things. And if you find you like cooking and baking with me, you can go to your library, or you can call your library and ask them for cookbooks. We have a lot of cookbooks for kids, so if you find this is something you enjoy and you're having fun, you can try some recipes on your own. Just call your local library and ask them for some cookbooks for kids. So hopefully I will see you next time. Take care, and I'll see you soon.